Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be interviewing my first cast member of Friday the 13th Part 3, or Part 3D, whichever version you saw, David Katims. You may remember him, he played Chuck, the Tommy Chong-looking hippie, in Friday the 13th Part 3. I'm having him on the show today. I just recently found out he's also a stand-up comedian, which I did not know, and I'm pretty excited to talk about stand-up comedy with him as well, because he knows some of the comics that I came up with at the Brainwash Cafe in San Francisco back in the mid-2000s, and I want to talk to him about it today, and it's going to be pretty cool. The guy was also in some movies and TV shows I never even heard of, like literally, and you know me, I'm a fanboy. I know just about everything about the 80s, but these I never heard of and stuff like that. So yeah, here is my interview with David Katims. Hey, David.
Hey, Tommy. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well.
Nice. Thank you for taking the time today.
Hey, my pleasure.
Yes. So did you always know growing up that you wanted to act and do comedy and all that stuff?
Not really, no. I always was a class clown, I guess, but I didn't get into acting until very late in my college career at UCLA. I was going for a psychology degree, and I had 2 quarters left. I'd finished most of my requirements, and so just for hell of it, I took an acting class as an elective and got hooked. And decided since I was living in LA, I'd give myself 2 years to try to get a paying gig, and if I could, then I'd try to pursue it. And within about 6 months, I had gotten my first role. So that's how I launched the acting career. I didn't get into comedy until much later. Although I'd always wanted to do it, I thought I could do the performing of it. I didn't think I could write comedy. But so I moved to Seattle in '95. Maybe a few years after that, took a stand-up comedy class, and they helped me write my first 5 minutes, and then tried that out at Giggles in the U District, and the owner thought I was good enough that I should keep coming out. So that's how that got started.
Mm-hmm. Where are you from originally?
I'm a California boy. I grew up in northern California, so I went to Berkeley first and then transferred down to UCLA. And so spent 20 years in Los Angeles before moving up here.
Mm-hmm. What year did you get to L.A.?
76, I think. Yeah.
76. Wow, that was during the crazy time of L.A.
Yeah. I'm sorry, my girlfriend's talking on her speakerphone. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second. Okay. She's going to seclude herself in her room. There we go.
It's okay.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun time to be in LA, and I had a great time while I was there.
Mm-hmm. So was Friday the 13th Part 3 your first audition for a movie?
No, I can't remember what the first movie I did. I do have a quick story about how I got my first acting role, which is kind of funny.
Okay.
My mom had before I was born, had a cooking show on TV, and she taught myself and my siblings how to cook, and specifically how to bake pies. So I baked pies from scratch. And while in LA, I met a writer on the soap opera General Hospital.
Mm.
And I asked her, I said, do you like sweets? And she said, oh, yeah. I said, do you like pie? She said, oh, absolutely. I said, I make pies as close to the human orgasm as you can get. Would you like one? She said, sure. I said, I'd like to meet your casting director. How about we swap? I'll make you a pie, you introduce me. She said, you got a deal. So I made her a pie, she introduced me, but nothing really happened. And then 3 months later, I read that they got a new casting director. So I called her up and said, would you like another pie orgasm? She said, yes. I said, okay, I'd like to meet the new guy. And she said, you got a deal. And within about 6 days after making her a pie, I got a call from the casting director in General Hospital and was cast as in a reoccurring part as a mental patient. And that's my first paid gig in acting.
Wow, your mom had a cooking show. Was it on cable access?
No, this is during the days of live television, so this is for CBS, and she shot it up here in the Northwest, and it aired all over the Pacific Northwest. But yeah, this is even before videotape. This is whatever live cameras they used to use. And she, besides that, she also had a variety show. Mm-hmm. So she literally would go from one stage to the next and start doing the next show, whichever came first. I can't remember. But, well, I can't remember because I wasn't alive. But
yeah. Okay, so how does the audition for Friday the 13th Part 3 come about?
So that was, I had a friend who I played softball with, and he was an actor, and he had a reoccurring character on the sitcom Happy Days. So he was working pretty frequently, and when he first auditioned for Friday the 13th, Part 3, excuse me, he was told that they weren't sure that it was going to be a union shoot, and he was working so much as a union actor, he didn't want to jeopardize getting in trouble with the union, so he declined to keep going with the audition. But he said, I have friends that are actors, would you like to meet a few of them? And they said, sure. So he called me and said, will you like to audition? And they didn't know it was Friday the 13th, by the way. They used and this often happens in films, they won't necessarily at the beginning of production use the real name of the movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, I auditioned for a movie called Crystal, Japan, which I had no idea what it was, except I knew it was a horror film, but I didn't know what it was. Mm-hmm. And they wanted me to play a pot-smoking hippie, which is what I ended up being cast as, but it seemed to read pretty much like Tommy Chong. So yeah. I said, I can do Tommy's accent. Do you want me to do it? They said, oh, yeah, do that. And so I did. And within about, I think by the callback, they pretty well had decided they wanted me, though they didn't confirm it yet. Mm-hmm. They kept having me come back to read with different actresses to play my girlfriend in the film. So I read for maybe 4 different actresses, or with 4 different actresses, and then they did reveal that it was Friday the 13th, and then they also, I think after the 3rd or 4th one, they told me that I got the part, but they still wanted me to keep coming to read with other actresses, so. Mm-hmm. But they said, we're going to go union. Is that okay? I said, yeah, it solves a lot of problems for me because I was union. I just wasn't working at all. So I thought I'd risk it. But I ended up not having to risk anything because it was union and I was union.
So I take it you didn't already look like Tommy Chong before the movie?
No. So after about the 3rd audition, they said, start growing your hair, grow your beard. And so I did. And so and it was a ways away after they cast me before production was going to start. So I had time to, fill in the beard. my hair a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm. Now, had you already seen the first two?
No, and I get asked that all the time not all the time, I don't do a ton of them, but I do a few horror film conventions.
Right.
And I get asked that. They asked me, did I, what I think of the Friday 13th and Friday 13th Part 2, and I said, I've never seen them. And they said, you're kidding. I said, no, I didn't feel like I needed to get a handle on this part. So I had decided not to see them purposefully, just so I kind of go in with my own vision of how to play the part. Now, what's funny is on the very first day of shooting, the director said, we've decided not to use the Tommy Chong accent, so just talk in your regular voice. I said, you're kidding. Because this is the whole reason why they cast me. They were going to do a male, female, Cheech and Chong. And actually, the actress that I auditioned with the last time was a Hispanic actress, and she was pretty good. I thought they were going to go with us because I thought we had some good chemistry. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until a few days before we were to be on set that they informed me, no, they cast someone else that I hadn't even read with. And she really hadn't had a lot of experience acting at all. So that was an interesting choice. But anyway, on the first day of shooting, they said, no, don't do the accent. And so that's kind of threw me for a loop, but I just, okay, well, I'm not going to do a character, I guess. So.
Yeah, the first one is my favorite slasher movie of all time. And I like Part 2 also. I like 1 through 6, but then after that, I think the series got kind of uninspired after that, especially when they moved from Paramount to New Line, And
right.
Yeah, was Steve Miner a good director?
I hate to say bad things about Steve because I actually think he's become a good director. Mm-hmm. But this was only the second thing he'd ever directed. He directed this Friday the 13th Part 2 and then Part 3. And for my part, or at least working with me, like if I did it one way, he would say, okay, so do it a different way. And just let me see a different look. And I'm thinking, okay, you're the director. Give me some idea of what direction you want me to go. But he didn't. So I just, I'm pretty creative, and I just showed him a few different ideas, ways of doing it, and he goes, okay, yeah, that's the way I want to do it. But that's not direction. That's having the actor do the direction for you. So I wouldn't say, as far as working with me, he was really very strong. But I have since seen other work he's done. Like after our Friday the 13th, he did The Wonder Years, and those were really excellent dramedies, I guess we'll call them, and he directed those. So, he learned something. But I wouldn't say he was on the top of his game when he was working on our film.
Yeah, it was only his second movie because he did Part 2 before that, and he was a crew member on the first one. And then he went on to do Mel Gibson's Forever Young and stuff like that. I mean, he's had a pretty versatile career.
Yeah, no, as I say, he really has become, I think, a pretty good director. But I don't know if he's still doing it or not, really. I don't know if he's still directing.
No, last thing I saw him do, he did that horrible movie about the Texas Rangers back in the early 2000s. That, I don't know what happened during that production, but it was god awful. It had like a premise with potential, and then I guess something happened in the editing room.
I will say this about our film, that I don't think it was a very well written film. Mm-hmm. So it's easier to direct when the writing's stronger. But this was a challenge, I'm sure, for him, as it was for the actors, dude. It wasn't, to me, put together as well as it should be. But,
yeah. I like Part 3, though. What was it like working with the cast?
Well, the cast was got along very well. And we got along well with Steve, too. He was friendly, for sure. And everybody in the cast was pretty cohesive and friendly as well. So the woman who played, God, I don't know what her character name was, but Tracy Savage.
Right.
Tracy, her mother was my agent, so I knew Tracy before the film.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know anyone else, and we all got along pretty well.
Yeah, Larry Zerner is great in the movie, playing Shelley, who's always pulling pranks on everybody.
Yeah, Larry's become the one with whom I guess I'm the closest, because we've done horror conventions together. Yeah, I've just stayed in touch with him pretty much throughout since the film.
Yeah, Catherine Parks, I love her. She's great in everything she's in.
I think she's living in Florida these days. I could be wrong, but I think last time I did a convention, that's where she was living.
Yeah. Dana Kimmel, she's like one of the few of the series that doesn't like being associated with the series or something like that.
Well, I think that I don't know that she's acting anymore, and she does do the occasional convention. I've done them with her. I've done 2 conventions with her.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. She's a mom, and she's I think she's a grandma now, actually, and I think she has other interests. So
yeah,
but then again, so the woman who played my girl completely avoid the limelight. So you won't find an interview of her at all.
Yeah. And then a couple people passed away, like Richard Brooker, who played Jason, and the biker chick Gloria Charles, which
Yeah,
I was
passed away too.
Yeah, I was surprised about that and stuff.
Well, she's kind of young. Richard, I don't really know what caused him to pass away. I do know he drank quite a bit, so I wouldn't be surprised if that played a part. But I don't know.
Yeah. Something that always boggled my mind, though, is why that this is the sequel that had a disco music score.
Yeah, no, it's Harry Manfredi.
Manfredini.
And say it again, Manfredini.
Manfredini.
Yeah, I've met him a couple times.
Me too.
An interesting score, but recognizable for sure.
Mm-hmm. I just don't know why it had to be disco, because disco was gone by 1982. It was a weird thing.
But not forgotten.
Yeah, that's sure true. Do you know how long the shooting schedule was?
I worked on it for about 7 weeks, and I imagine someone like Dana probably worked on it 8 or 9 weeks, but not much longer than that, I bet.
Mm-hmm. Were you satisfied with your death scene?
Well, not really, because they filmed a lot more than ended up in the film.
Yeah.
They ended up, my character gets electrocuted, and they did a lot of cool makeup where my face was melted and singed, and my headband that I wore and the glasses I wore were melted. Mm-hmm. And it was a pretty gory look, and I went through makeup to show that look, and then they ended up not even showing it in the film. I don't know why, but other than that, I was happy enough with it. It was fun to do that. When you see a punch, or like in this case where Jason throws me into the electrical outlet, it is really the person receiving the punch that has to sell how strong he is, They had a springboard, and I worked with a stunt coordinator to practice after he threw me, and to have my body go flying so that it made sense for how strong he is. But so that was fun. Certainly out of my realm of experience up till then. So that was pretty cool.
I figured there had to be more of it because it's very sloppy in the editing and very fast, I noticed.
Yeah, and so that's true. I mean, they filmed a lot more, but they never explained why. So I don't, unless they're just trying to keep the total length of the film down. But it's not like they avoided gore in the film, so I don't know.
Yeah, all the Jason movies have much longer deaths and much more gory stuff that was cut out, though. So it's not surprising.
Yeah.
So the movie comes out. You continued working, and I'm a huge movie and TV buff, especially from the '80s. Yet I've never seen or heard of any of the stuff you were in after. Like, what happened?
That was the largest film I did, but I did a film, a teen comedy called The Invisible Kid, and then I had smaller parts in. God, I'm trying to think of them now, but I did a few other smaller parts. I did also some television, but nothing big enough that you would have heard about it. So. The Invisible Kid was fun for me to do because it was even though it was a stupid teen comedy, but it did have a few people that went on to become semi-famous. China Phillips was in the film, and it was funny because this is before Wilson Phillips, their musical group, became a nationwide #1 song, and she would kind of be late to the set every once in a while. I was saying she's working with her group, and I'm going, really? How big a group is that? And it turned out to be a very big group.
Yeah.
Not now, but it was at the time. And then also Wallace Langham, who was the lab guy in the CSI show. The show CSI.
Yeah, CSI.
Yeah, so he played the lab nerd on that show. So he was in it. And what was fun for me is I got to play a bad guy. The bad guys are fun to do.
Yeah. I'm looking up the cast of that right now because I'm intrigued to see it now and stuff.
It's not a great film.
Oh, I see. Jay Underwood was in it.
Yeah, he had done a few things. I didn't know his credits before that movie, but
yeah, he's an interesting actor.
And actually, Karen Black was in it, which may be too old for you, but she was well known to me because she was in a movie with Jack Nicholson called 5 Easy Pieces.
Yes, she was, and she was also in Trilogy of Terror.
Oh my God, I love that movie. Now that was a well-done horror movie. It scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, it was made for TV.
Yeah, but you're right. That's really one of the best things she did. So she was great in 5 Easy Pieces too, but played kind of a crazed mom in this little kid, as I recall. So I don't think she's alive anymore. I could be wrong, but I think she's passed too.
No, she died. I think maybe 10 or 15 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
So you moved to Washington in the mid '90s, and you started doing comedy there. You were saying?
Yeah, a few years later, not right away, because I started a business there, but I, after taking that class and getting some good notices from one of the club owners here, I was able to really start performing almost every weekend for over 10 years at Diego's, or one of the comedy venues up here. And then even made it down to LA and did a few venues and the Improv down there as well. But I haven't done a ton of comedy lately because I'm working again in a regular sales position, and so I don't really have as much time to stay up late and then get up early in the morning. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I started in 2006 in San Francisco, and it was a hobby for the first 8.5 years. And then I had a car accident in 2015 that made me want to pursue it. And I did for a little bit. Now I'm up here in Reading, and I'm taking a break from it because there's no comedy around here and stuff. And I'm doing, my podcast that I started here and all that. But I started, in 06, and I see a few people I started with, like Jane Hayes and Harold Gomez, and of course Tony Sparks, who owned the place that I started, going to do comedy at, the Brainwash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was really sad when it closed down.
Yeah, no, Harold was part of my early times in comedy. A really nice guy, and Tony Sparks as well. Jane Hayes, I don't know as well. Actually, I know the name, but I don't know that. I don't know if I could spot her in a lineup. But I know she is probably a Facebook friend or something like that.
Yeah, Jane, she came to San Francisco early when I started. She was there for about 9 months, and then she left and went back to Tennessee. But we were like, we had rapport. We had we were like casual comedy friends and stuff. And she's really cool, and she's been on the podcast twice. So, yeah. And
I mean, I have a great affinity for comedians. I just marvel at the various ways they come to humor and bring comedy to people. It's just so varied and different styles. I just am fascinated. Always have been, even before I was a comedian.
mm-hmm.
I used to go to comedy shows all the time. I call myself a comedy whore. I just love going to see comedy shows. And, just you could have someone who's brash and outlandish and extroverted, and then you can have people who are incredibly dry and slow speaking, and they can be funny too. It just I marvel at it. In fact, when a comedian comes up with an idea
Mm-hmm.
that I could have come up with that I hadn't thought of in the same way before, they go, "Oh, damn it! I should have thought of that. That's definitely something that's funny. I should have said it." But, good for them that they came up with it.
Yeah, that's always the worst, when someone comes up with something really funny that you like, that you wish you come up with. Yeah. Did you go to the Comedy Store a lot in the 80s?
Yes. Not as a performer, but yes. Both the Comedy Store, the Comedy Store West, which was closer to UCLA.
Right.
And there was an improv club. What was it called? Robin Williams used to perform at both Comedy Stores and the Improv, and also this improv club, which was not stand-up. It was definitely an improv performance thing. But I used to see all the famous comedians. I saw them before they were ever famous. It was kind of funny, but
yeah, I've interviewed a lot of comedians who were there in the 70s and the 80s, and they tell me just how insane that place was. It was like the Studio 54 of Hollywood. There was cocaine and sex everywhere. Especially
the Comedy Store. No doubt about it. I mean,
yeah, especially when Sam Kinison hit it big, it was really bad.
What were saying that Sam Kinison did drugs? I can't believe it. That's shocking.
I know, it's very hard to believe, isn't it?
Yes. And if ever a guy didn't need cocaine, it's Robin Williams. I mean, this guy was so hyper that without drugs, that you just go, wow, why would he ever take it? He wouldn't need it. But he did his share, too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did, unfortunately.
Well, that's not why he died.
I know.
But so, hey, better living through chemistry, I think.
Absolutely. Do you know how many minutes you have now?
Of material?
Yeah.
Well, probably less than I did. At my biggest, I maybe had 30, 40 minutes tops. I never had enough material to be a headliner, and didn't really aspire to be a headliner because I always had either ran a business or was working for a business, so I didn't have time to pursue it on a professional level. Though I made money in comedy, but I just never was intending to go on the road. That was never my intention. I did it mostly for my own enjoyment.
So you were just a local comedian. If someone famous came to town, you'd open for them?
Yeah, but I mean, this Club Giggles, all the famous comedians came through town. So I've worked with some of the biggest comedians. I've worked with Jim Gaffigan and God, I'm forgetting all the names now, but I've worked with all of them. They would come through town when they'd headline. I'd be a middle act or at least an MC in the show. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. At least you have that part of comedy to do. I've only done amateur showcases and stuff. I don't know. I guess people think my material is just too inappropriate to be getting paid to do stand up and stuff. But I'm not going to give up, because it's the comedian's journey. Well,
and you can always refine your material. So you can have one set that's blue, and you can have another set that's more clean or more geared for certain types of audiences. But
right.
It's just a matter of writing and editing and practicing and editing and just always evolving and listen to advice from other comics, because sometimes they'll come up with a tag to a joke that you hadn't thought of. And that's one of the things I think is really nice about comics, at least my experience, is that they would be open to me providing them with tags for their material, and they would offer similar information for me. And if I thought it could work, I'd try it out at least, and if it worked in front of an audience, then I'd keep it. And at least it's been my experience, that there's pretty much good honor among comics, that they don't steal each other's jokes. It happens from time to time, but mostly it doesn't. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love hearing stories about stand-up comedy in the 70s, and just comedy in general, whether it's at the Comedy Store or the Groundlings, because they were at humble beginnings, and it was all for the art and not for the money like it is now. Hollywood was such a much more intimate business at that time.
Well, one of my frustrations in life, to a degree, is that I didn't have the guts to try writing comedy when I lived there, because that's how many of the comics that became famous, that's how they did become famous, or actors that became famous, they did stand-up in L.A. at the Comedy Store or at the Improv, and cast and directors would come out and see them, and then they'd be on a sitcom the next month or something like that. Oh my God. That's something I should have done now that I know that I can write comedy. Oh well.
Well, people have told me I should write, for a sitcom or a talk show or something, because I'm a good writer and everything. I've heard nothing but horror stories about doing it, though, because you have to write, 50 jokes a day, and you're lucky if one ends up in the final product, and then the next day you have to write a whole new set of 50, and you can't recycle what you wrote yesterday.
Well, it is a job, right?
Yeah.
It does require work. On the other hand, you'll never get stronger in your comedy than doing that job. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's not for everybody then. So, how are things with your health going?
Better, thanks for asking. It's still a journey, but I am over the worst of it. So.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Back in action. I up here there's a for the last 10 years there's been a woman-produced show, a Jello wrestling show. It's called the Jello Underground, and you can actually put that in YouTube, and you'll see a 10-minute video they have produced and are sending around to different independent film festivals. And it's a husband and wife that produce it, and the husband is a massive Friday the 13th fan, so he reached out to me early on. So he's produced burlesque shows and this Jello wrestling show, and he's had me MC different shows for him. So I was actually at that show last night, and I didn't have any clue they've been doing it for 10 years. I just thought they had it the last couple of years. But
yeah.
So it's been fun to be part of that. But then one of the things they had me do with them recently is they have aspirations to do a film based on the murdering of the Jello wrestlers. And so if you go on YouTube and Google "Murder at the Jello Show," you'll see we have a small part in this little trailer. It's only a minute long, but I play a kind of alt-right religious fundamentalist character. And I don't even think they've written a script for this film yet, but they wanted to do this little pilot, or not pilot, but promotional video to get people interested in the idea. So you can see what I look like these days. Although when I did that, I hadn't started my illness yet, so I actually have quite a bit thinner than I was in that. But the character was fun to do because he's a hateful character. But, it kind of encapsulates a more horror, more of the horror genre.
Yeah. You ever do theater over there?
I've done some theater up here. I've done more theater down in LA. But no, I've done some theater. Did a part in West Side Story, and I'm not a singer, but there's a couple roles that are not non-singing roles. But I haven't done as much theater as I'd like. I really do love theater. I love doing it. In the same way why I like stand-up. It's live. And if you screw up, too bad. Keep going.
Yeah.
No one's gonna say cut. There isn't such an animal. So I like that aspect in both comedy and in acting. In acting, though, the other bonus is the working with and off of other performers and their timing and what they bring to the party changes how you do what you do. So, yeah, I love theater.
Yeah, I do too. It's a lot of fun. Do you know if you're going to do any conventions in 2019?
I have none on the table because, again, I'm not really having a lot of free time to do it. But if, like, Larry reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you have any interest in doing this show or whatever?" I would do it. If it was over a weekend, I would do it. But yeah, I don't really I might, in a few years I'll retire from the business world, and then when I do, probably try to pursue those more often. Although I don't know if there'll be an interest in me or not. What's funny is that, we do these conventions, and Richard Brooker would be commanding a line because he's one of the Jasons, and there might not be anybody in front of my table, although I'm right next to him, and I shout out to the fans who are waiting for his autograph. I go, why do you want his autograph? He doesn't even talk. He's not an actor. He's a stuntman. I talk. I'm an actor. They would laugh at that, but they still want Jason's autograph.
Yeah.
In fact, when Richard Brooker died, I entertained, though I didn't do it, but I entertained. There was just an outpouring of sympathy on social media, on Facebook and everything. Just everybody. It was, and I so wanted to post, why are you feeling so sorry for Richard Brooker? That guy killed me in Friday the 13th. My God, sympathy should be for me. And I know that they'd be horrified, although I know Richard would have found it funny.
Yeah. I think what's his name? Ted White from Part 4 may be next, at his old age.
Wait, he's not that old, is he? How old is he?
He's 93.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's old. Okay, I guess I don't know that character. But yeah, he probably will be. Who knows? You never can tell.
He's been saying for like 4 years that he's going to retire from doing conventions, but he keeps doing them. And I reached out to him, I think, end of last summer for an interview, and he was doing all these conventions on the road and stuff. And then I reached out to him again, and I never heard back and stuff. I hope I get to talk to him before he passes. The guy who was a stuntman for like John Wayne and Clark Gable and all these guys.
Yeah, that's a long career.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're retired, then these things become more fun because you don't have to have any other responsibilities, and you just go out and talk to people who love your work.
Yeah.
I don't think Friday the 13th is such a well written film, so and really horror films are not the genre that I gravitate towards. So sometimes I've signed autographs at these conventions. I'll say, David Katims, get a life.
Oh my God.
Which is irreverent, but you know what? I'm allowed to be.
Yes, you are. Yeah. Wow. So you've never even been asked by like Seattle Crypticon to like sign over there?
I've done Seattle Crypticon one time about 5 or 6 years ago. That's when I last did. That's when my friend who does this Jello Underground. That's when he was producing a burlesque show at Crypticon, and I was an MC for the show, and also a celebrity at the show signing autographs. But I've reached out to them a couple times, seeing if they want me back, and they would say, well, we're focusing on this horror film or that. And now I don't even know who to reach out to there. But, yeah, I would do another one, because that's easy. It's right down the street from me. So.
Yeah. My dad lives in Marysville, Washington, and I want to go to Crypticon so bad, like next time I go see him and stuff, because oh my God, I mean, I see everybody there on the list that I see here in California and stuff, but it would be great to like go to a convention in another state. I go to Monsterpalooza in Burbank and Pasadena every year, and I always suggest people for those. They listened to me in 2017 when I said, get a lot of Friday the 13th people. They got Adrian King, R.A. Lehman, Harry Manfredini, Kane Hodder, Tom Savini. They were all there, and I was so happy.
Cool. Well, next time suggest me.
I will. I want to suggest you. I suggest a lot of people. I think I may even did it already for this year, but we'll see what happens. I do know that they haven't gotten everybody yet, so there's still time because it's not till April. So
there's I did go down to LA. They made a film, a kind of a documentary about the cabin, and also a tribute to Richard Brooker. And they brought in different actors who were in Part 3 to, just be interviewed on camera for the film. So Larry was interviewed, Paul, I'm blanking on his last name, who played the male lead, Dana's boyfriend. They had Tracy Savage was in it as well, and a few other people, but that was shot in Pasadena a couple of years ago now, I think. And that was fun to do.
Yeah, the conventions are pretty cool. I got to meet Steve Dash, who played Jason in Part 2 before he passed. I was like at his next to last convention before he passed.
In this film, if you YouTube just put in Friday the 13th Part 3 documentary, you'll see it, and it's available to watch if you have an interest.
Oh, I will.
But,
there was a guy. He pretended that he wrote this book about Friday the 13th that doesn't exist. He's a crazy person who he's like friended everybody from the series on Facebook. I cannot remember his name for the life of me, but he was like trolling my YouTube channel and my podcast because I interviewed somebody that he has a feud with, and so I had to block him.
Well, there are some weird people that surround this genre, for sure.
Yeah, I did my research. The book does not exist, but the title was so convincing, like it should exist, but it doesn't. And it was really, really strange. Really strange. But yeah, I do hope you do a con, at least in California in 2019. I hope I get to meet you because I do have a Friday the 13th Part 3 poster that needs to be signed.
Okay. Yeah, I've been interviewed by a few different people who've done books on Friday the 13th. Peter Bracke and, oh God, I've forgotten. I know I'm in a few different books. There's a coffee book, a coffee table book about Friday the 13th, and I'm in that.
Ronnie Angel.
Oh, yeah, well, I definitely know Ronnie, actually. Yeah, I'm sure I'm in one of his books. I don't think I've read his book, but I'm sure I'm in it because he interviewed me.
Yeah, Ronnie's been a guest on the podcast. Great guy. I like him a lot. So,
yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah. So, David, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Sure. My pleasure. I wish you good luck on your podcast and on your comedy, and maybe we'll get to meet down the road here.
I sure hope so, and I'm glad you're feeling much better, and I hope you have a happy new year.
Okay, you too. You take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. David Katims. Ain't he a cool dude? Thank you so much, David. I'm always so glad to meet fellow comedians. And I haven't met a whole lot of, aside from the comedians I came up with who are mostly locals, I haven't really met somebody semi in the limelight who was a local comedian as well. And it was really thrilling to do that. So thank you so much, David. It was a pleasure. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.